Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is JB, and I'm a marketing champion. You learned the basics in part one. Now, up your game with even more code modifications to help your emails stand out and earn clicks. And Tomlin, the founder of Emails Y'all, is here to teach you some more awesome techniques. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the questions box or the chat window in your GoToWebinar control panel. We will try to address these during the presentation and at the end. We will send the recording to the webinar and the link to all the documents we highlighted. Be on the lookout for the email. Now, without further ado, we will get started. I will turn the time over to Anne. Anne, take it over.
Great, thank you, JB. Everybody, welcome to the webinar, Other Creative Ways to Zhuzh Up a SalesForce Marketing Cloud Basic Template. My name is Anne Tomlin, and I'm a freelance email developer with 11 years of coding experience. I founded my company Emails Y'all in October 2017, and some brands that I've worked with include Famous Footwear, Chipotle, and Fracture. I'm also very active in the Email Geek community, so you can find me on the Email Geek Slack channel or on Twitter at Pompey79 or Emails Y'all. So today we're going to discuss how to make an email accessible, how to swap images for mobile, how to make buttons span full width in mobile, and how to create rounded buttons in Outlook. Keep in mind that these techniques are for when you're using Content Builder, not Classic or Lightning. As I mentioned last week, the code in Salesforce's ready-to-use templates is locked and can't be edited. So to do these techniques, you need to be able to add or change code. So the first thing you need to do is create a new template. You'll create a new template from an existing template. You can choose any of the ones that are on screen. So in last week's webinar, we talked about easy ways to zhuzh up Salesforce templates by changing or adding small bits of code. This week, we're going to get into more complicated ideas. So you will be working with the code a lot. You'll make use of the HTML block. So if you're new at coding, you may want to start with the ideas covered in the first webinar. For those of you who are ready to move onward, strap in. So when you're working with blocks of code, there are some best practices that you should follow. First, always make a copy of the email you want to modify. Things could get hairy and you need an original email to revert to if everything goes to hell. It's a hard-learned lesson, so please let me be your cautionary tale. Second, only add one element at a time. So for example, if you want to swap out an image and make your buttons full width, only do one of those things at a time. And like the third bullet says, test in between. Just to imagine that you've put a bunch of new code in your email, you're finished, you test it, and it's totally a mess. To avoid this situation, it's totally worth the time to take incremental steps. Otherwise, you're going to have to buy bullet number 4, troubleshooting the code that you added. The standard way of troubleshooting is to remove the last piece of code you added and then test. If the issue is still there, remove the second to last piece of code you added and then test again. So keep doing this until the issue is resolved. Then you know that the problem was in the code that you removed right before the successful test. So once you've resolved the issue, add the rest of the code that you removed and test once more. So you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of testing. And it is. I am a self-proclaimed over-tester. My opinion is that if you're ever in doubt, test. Test as much as you like or are allowed to, but definitely test your emails before you send them. There are plenty of testing services out there, but you'll see me use Litmus in this presentation. So let's start with our first topic, making email more accessible. Email accessibility is based on the idea that your email should be usable and readable for all subscribers, including those with disabilities. Worldwide, 285 million people have vision differences, 36 million are blind, and 246 million have low vision or color blindness. Despite these large numbers, some email marketers might believe that people with disabilities are just a small percentage of their audience and it's not worth following best practices or making changes. This opinion is totally bogus. Those people are potential buyers, donors, users, whatever. Don't give up potential sales or donations when it's very easy to make the necessary changes. Factoring accessibility into your email creation process can end up benefiting everyone. For example, you should always add alt text to your images so that screen readers will read the alt text that describes each image. This benefits us all because some email clients block images on load. But if there's alt text, your subscriber will still understand your message even without the images. So there are a lot of things that you can do to improve your email's accessibility. First, you want to define the language that your email is in by adding lang equals en to the HTML tag. En here represents English. So if your email was in Spanish, you'd use es for Espanol. You also want to ensure that role equals presentation is added to each table that contains content. Fortunately,
And
SalesForce is, yes?
sorry to interrupt. If you are sharing your presentation, we only see the Marketing Cloud org, not the presentation.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, that's awful. I'm really sorry, guys.
We see it now.
Okay. Whoops. Okay, all right. Here we go. Let's present
Perfect.
again. Sorry about that, guys.
No
I
worries.
thought that, yeah, I thought I was showing my screen, obviously. So, yeah, so that's, you want to do the language, set the language and the role presentation. So, yeah, Salesforce already uses the role presentation, so you don't have to use this feature unless you're adding a table. So, yeah, you don't need to worry about it if you're unless you're adding a table. So next, you want to use semantic markup like H1, H2, and paragraph tags. Using this markup helps screen readers put emphasis on the right places and read the document in the correct order. Salesforce already uses headers in their templates, but they don't use paragraph tags, so you'll have to add them yourself around the body copy. The way you do this is by adding P tags. P tags intrinsically have margins, but if you don't want that extra space around them, you can set padding and margin at 0. It's best practice to have P tags around every block of text and not use break tags or hit the return button. However, I understand that it isn't always possible, so you just add it once, yeah, that's okay. So for this next one, I gotta get up on my soapbox. I will die on this hill. This is the most important thing you will learn in these webinars. You must use live text. Live text is actual text that you've typed into the template. The opposite of live text is called baked in text and refers to text that is part of an image. Always, 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 always use live text. I'm of the opinion, and not a very popular one, that flashy designs that require text to be part of an image is bad practice and needs to be stopped by everyone. Live text is best practice and always shows up in email, even when images are blocked. So it's also the only way that people who use screen readers will get your message. Similarly, you always want to set and style alt text on your images. That alt text needs to be relevant to the image that it's on. Again, it's necessary for screen readers, but it benefits us all. You want to style your alt text so that it looks like part of your brand, and people, if they end up seeing it, it's in your brand colors. So why am I so passionate about live text? Let me show you. So this is an email that I opened in Gmail. It has images of clothes for sale, icons, buttons to click. Looks pretty cute, right? This is why we can't have nice things. It's totally possible to create everything in this email by using HTML. I could code this email in 2 hours. Setting aside that there's no live text at all and everything is an image, the alt text for every single image is turn your images on shop AEO. That is so wrong. You know what this email would sound like to a person using a screen reader? Turn your images on shop AEO. 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 Imagine hearing that another 19 times. How frustrating must it be to use a screen reader and all you want are some jeans? This email did not have to be that way. It could have included everyone with just a small amount of work. So, gotta calm down. Well, we'll move on. So just as alt text needs to be descriptive, so does link text. Banish click here from your mind. Let's get rid of learn more as well. They're not descriptive at all. If someone's scanning your email, they have no clue where they're going if they click here. This is especially true of buttons. The average email attention span is something like 5 to 7 seconds. So use specific link text like download the white paper, send flowers, buy jeans, shop the sale, things like that. You also need to think about contrasting colors for accessibility. This is especially important for those with color blindness and for seniors, but it also benefits everyone. I don't know about you, but my eyes hurt trying to read the white text on the gray background in the image on the right. You want to make your text as legible as possible for everyone, and it takes seconds to adjust your colors to employ more contrast. Maybe bring it up with the people who manage your brand guidelines. Be sure to avoid true black and true white because they can cause a halo effect for some people. From what I understand, it's similar to how streetlights can look. Instead, use colors that are a little off true black and true white. Another best practice for accessibility is using font sizes that are at least 14 pixels. This is especially true for mobile. If you also want to use a line height that is at least 4 pixels more than the font size. Personally, I like to use percentages for line height, but pixel amounts work just as well. Also, center aligned text in large quantities is difficult for some people to read. So if your copy block is more than like 1 sentence, align it to the left or right, depending on what language it's in. So this next one needs a little bit of explaining. There is nothing wrong with using all caps in your email, but you should avoid typing in all caps because some screen readers will read out the letters, not the words. Use text transform uppercase if you can. So the last point is about links. So to be accessible, you want to make links look like links. That means using a color that stands out from the text around it. You also want to underline the text and possibly use bold. I know there's some resistance to underlining, but it really is necessary for those with color blindness. Ever since the early days of the internet, links were a different color and underlined, so everybody knows what that means. Plus, the point of an email is to drive traffic, so why would you not want to bring attention to a link? So now I'd like to show y'all how to add the language declaration and paragraph tags. All right, let's move over to Marketing Cloud. And I'm going to go into this email. All right, so I've already created this email. It's a template that I made from an existing template, one of Salesforce's ready to use templates. Okay. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Sorry about that. Let's go to accessibility. All right. So what we want to do, the very first thing, is go up to this code view so that you can put the language declaration. So you want to find this HTML tag. It's always the second thing that you see, and type in lang equals EN or whatever language you're using. All right, so the next thing you do after that is you want to put your P tags around every paragraph. So I'm going to show you what it looks like with this kind of hero area. So you click in here and go to the HTML editor. So you can see right here we've got an H1 tag for this get ready for an epic webinar. So that's already, you know, nice and accessible, but there's no paragraph tag. So what you would want to do is you can see that the paragraph starts here. So we want to go to the very front of it and type a P tag, and to the very end of it and type the P tag. And that is it, friends. There is no point in me showing you what this looks like rendered, because it just looks like a regular email. But it is more accessible for everybody. So it's good practice. All right, so let's move on to the next idea, swapping images for mobile. So why would you want to show one image on desktop and another one on mobile? There's a lot more real estate on desktop than on mobile, so it's usually the catalyst for a swap. The most common reason I've seen for swapping an image is in mobile is that the image is scaled down. When the image is scaled down, you have a hard time seeing the main focus of the image. Usually there's just too much space on either side of the focus that you effectively need to swap it out to retain the same impact of that image. So take a look at the module that I coded for one of my clients. As a regular image, it scales in proportion. If the desktop image were used in mobile, it would be much shorter and the woman would be itty bitty small. The cutting off the sides of the image maintains the focus on the woman and the general feel of the email. Another reason is background images. When a background image scales smaller and the text gets bigger for mobile, you usually end up covering the focus of the image with text. It's better to show a different image on mobile and keep the text large than to keep the same desktop image and make the text smaller. So to the right, you'll see a background image. A background image gets its sides hidden rather than scaling in proportion. In this instance, we needed more space at the top of the image for mobile so that the words wouldn't cover the focus of the image. Additionally, if for some reason you must use baked-in text, the text will scale with the image and usually becomes totally unreadable. So to swap an image, we need to use a media query that changes aspects of the email when it's displayed on mobile. So this media query implements the styles inside it when the screen width is 480 pixels or fewer. And that's effectively all mobile phones. So go into the code of the image you want to swap out, put a class on it, and set that class in the media query to display none. This will hide the desktop image on mobile. You then put your mobile image right below the desktop image. You'll add styles to the mobile image that's like display none, overflow hidden, font size 0, line height 0, so that it is hidden in desktop. Lastly, you want to add Outlook only code around the mobile image you just added in order to hide it all from desktop Outlooks. Now, I have to warn you that if you use this technique with SalesForce image blocks, the code between the Outlook only tags will disappear if you go back into the HTML editing pane to make adjustments. So try not to re-edit the mobile image or use an HTML block. So this is the code that goes in the body of the email. I use classes called hideM for hide on mobile and showM for show on mobile. You can see that I have hideM on the desktop image and showM on the mobile one. Also, there are inline styles to hide the mobile only image for desktop. And of course, the whole mobile image is hidden from Outlook by using the tag if not MSO. So the exclamation point here means not. So it's kind of saying if not MSO, or it basically is if not desktop Outlooks. So desktop Outlooks never scaled at all. So we need to hide every bit of mobile content, mobile only content from them. So these are the styles that you put in the head of the email. Important is used at the end of every mobile declaration because we need those styles to override the inline styles. You can see this especially well with the show M styles. So written on the mobile image is display none, overflow hidden, font size 0, and line height 0. You can see that we're overriding each of these styles with the importance. All right, so what I would like to do now is show y'all what this looks like in Salesforce. Okay, so I want to go here. Once again, this is the, I've already created this template from an existing one. Okay, so what we're gonna do is work with this hero image right here. So we want to click into it and go to the HTML editor. And we're going to find the image. The image is right here, just so you can see it. Okay, so we want to add a class here that's hide M. Okay, and then right below that, we're going to add this new mobile image. And you can see that it's got your display none, overflow, etc. So it's also got this class show M. Okay, so that's all we need to do here, but we also need to add the styles to the head of the email. So let's go to code view where all the styles are in the head. Okay, you want to find an open space of some type or anywhere within this media query. So that's the opening bracket, and here is the ending bracket. So anywhere in here is fine. So what we want to do, excuse me, is add, oops. All right, we want to add these styles to the head. All right, so that would, we already showed you that. It's the hide M and show M. And we've got here the display none, and the overrides for the show M. So that's it for that. So what we'll do is we'll send a test email, and I've already done that so that we can save some time. But this is what it looks like. So we've got this hero image here that was the original hero image, but when we go down to mobile, it's a cute kitty. So that that kitty is just a placeholder image. It's called Place Kitten. But what I wanted to show you is also the previews here. We've got it looking, as we expected with the hero image right here on all the desktops. But when you go down to mobile, the iPhone or Gmail here, it's got another cute kitten. So that shows you how to do an image swap. Relatively pretty easy, huh? All right. So next topic is making your buttons span full width in the container in mobile. So why am I covering this topic? I like big buttons, I cannot lie. But really, the reason you should enlarge your buttons is in mobile is because people are tapping with their thumbs. You don't want to make somebody stretch their thumb all the way over to the left of the screen just to push a button. So how do we do this? We need to add a class to the table that surrounds the SalesForce button. Make sure that the table you add it to does not have the 100% set width. It's the table after that one. Then you'll go up to the head of the email in the 480 media query and set the class you just made with width 100% important. Lastly, you want to add the class button styles that's already part of the SalesForce button and set it to text align center within important so that the text will be in the middle of the button. So you'll end up with styles that look like this. I made up the name button width for the class I put on the table surrounding the button. That's just a name I thought of. You can use any name that makes sense to you. So below that is the class button styles that SalesForce already has in their buttons. It's already there. All right, so let's check out what this looks like too. Right. Okay, so back here, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what this looks like on this button right here. So we will go into there, click into the button space and go to the HTML editor. So this is the table that I told you all about the 100%. You don't want to do anything to that. What you want to do is find this table, all right? And you want to add a class to it. You see we got button width. All right. So we're done editing there. And you want to go up to code view here so we can get to the styles. And we're going to add the styles for the width of 100 and the text align. So I've got here button width, width 100, and button style. So this width 100 is going to tell the button get as wide as you possibly can within the container. So what does that look like? All right, so here you go. You can already see that we've got the regular button as we expect on desktop, and on mobile, yay, it's nice and big, so we don't have to stretch our thumbs. And it totally looks like this as well on desktop. So small button and then big button. So that's a really nice thing to not stretch out your thumb. All right. So the last topic that we're going to talk about is how to create rounded buttons in Outlook. So first off, if you want to create a rounded button for desktop Outlook, you cannot use the SalesForce button block. You must use an HTML block. This topic is worth discussing because Outlook doesn't respect border radius. So your rounded buttons always turn square in all versions of desktop Outlook. It's a fact of life we've all learned to live with. However, you can make rounded buttons in desktop Outlook, but you have to use VML. So VML, or vector markup language, is part of the Office Open XML standards and is used by older email clients, which you might as well just say desktop Outlooks. But we might, yeah, so it's a holdover from the Word rendering engine, which is, as we know from last webinar, is the engine that drives Outlook because reasons. In general, I find that this really isn't worth the extra headache, but if your brand guidelines call for it, it can be done. So I'm going to explain two different ways on how to accomplish this. The first thing is you can use a generator called buttons.cm from Campaign Monitor. There are a couple of caveats though. The code it produces does not work in Windows 10 Mail. Additionally, the buttons it produces are static in width, but you can make them responsive by changing the code it produces from width 200 to width 100%, and also add a max width of 200. This is similar to the process we talked about last week about regarding making images full width. So the second way to create rounded buttons in desktop Outlook is with custom code, and it works everywhere. As a bonus, the width of this button is determined by the text within it, in all email clients except desktop Outlook. However, this is some really complicated code that's very hard to troubleshoot, so be especially careful. Okay, this is the code. At the top, you can see we have an Outlook conditional, if not MSO, show non-Outlook specific button. So we never establish the width of the button, so it expands and contracts with the amount of text. The padding is there to add a little bit of extra space around the text. The code in light blue is Outlook only code, which is there just in case you ever want to use this button without providing a VML button. It's unnecessary and should be left out if you plan on providing a VML button. This button technique was developed by Mark Robbins and is the best version of custom coded buttons I use. So after we close the if not Outlook tag, we open an Outlook only tag and put in the VML. You'll need to set the height and width of the button on the second line. The arc size determines the border radius, and the stroke color is the border color around the button, and the fill color is the button's background. So let's see this in action. Right. Okay, so once again, we're going to deal with this button right here. Or, yeah, we're going to leave this button here just so you can see the difference. So we've got to get the HTML block, and put it right above. All right, and then we're going to paste in our new button here for everything except Outlook. And then you can see here we've got the VML. So I want you to look at, especially at this width equals 300. So that's going to be important in a minute. So, but yeah, so this is the VML, and that is it. That's all you need to do. And of course, you want to save and send a test message. And what you'll get looks like this. Hold on one second. Okay, so this is the button that we created. That's the non-Outlook button. Really pretty blue. It's got the rounded sides, etc. All right, so but when we go into the renderings, you see here we've got Apple Mail with the regular button as we expect. And this is the Outlook button. I was calling your attention to the 300 so you can see that this button is much wider than the other button. So I wanted to show you that that is a completely different button than the one that shows up like on Apple Mail. So that's rounded buttons. And so let's wrap up. Today we talked about email accessibility and how live text, not baked in text, is absolutely necessary. You also need to use descriptive alt text for each image. Next, we talked about swapping images for mobile and how they need to use hide and show classes for every email client except Outlook, which has to have an Outlook conditional to hide all the mobile only content. Making SalesForce buttons full width in mobile is a good idea for thumb tapping, and creating rounded buttons for Outlook requires the use of VML, not the SalesForce button. So these slides and the slides from the first webinar are available on my website at these links. And that's it for me. So thanks for attending, and I'd like to take any questions.
And thank you so very much. I learned a lot. You shared some fantastic tips with everyone on how to zhuzh up their email. So really appreciate it. We do have a lot of questions for you, so I hope you're ready.
Okay.
First question is how to deal with large font size line height. For example, font size 44.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay, yeah. With line heights, with big text, that's kind of the reason that I actually like to use the percentages, because you don't have to kind of calculate to figure out, all right, so it's 44, it needs at least 4 more things, 48, whatever. Just put in like 130%. 130 is usually what I find to be useful. You can go up to 150. But yeah, that's the actual reason why I use percentages.
So would you say that that's the line height that you recommend? Because the next question after that is, what is the recommended line height in percent?
Usually I find that 130 is great, but if officially you should do at least 4 pixels more than the font size, but I find like 130 to be just about right. But you can also just modify, go up or down and see which one works best for you.
Thank you for that. Is image swap supported across devices and browsers?
Yes, it is. Super easy answer to that. Yes, it totally is. On every major email client.
And then another question is, if we modify the templates, are we still getting SFMC updates?
I do not know that one. I guess I'm going to have to research that and get back to you. Or
I know, that's a really good one. We'll have to. I have the name of the attendee that asked that, so we'll follow up and then we'll get back to you on that. In the demo, the class was hidden, but in the code it said shown. Can you speak a little bit more about that? Should it be hidden?
Okay, so what you do is so you want to put hide M on the desktop image so that it will be hidden in mobile. And I put hide M on there because we're hiding it for mobile. So then there's the image, the mobile only image below that has show M because it's hidden in desktop and shows in mobile. And that one has all the styles on it that hide it. And then we use the styles in the 480 media query to override all the styles that are in the actual that we've actually typed into the mobile only image. I hope that makes more sense.
Thank you for that. No, thank you. That was a good explanation.
Oh, great.
Have you seen multiple media queries auto-generated in code view? If so, do you know why that happens and how to prevent it?
I have not seen that. What I guess I would try and do is, for one, try and figure out why they're there. I mean, in theory, all you really need is a max width of 600 or whatever the width of your email is to 480, and then one that's 480 to for the rest of mobile. But yeah, I mean, see if those are necessary. Like, take them out, save and test and see if that's if those really are necessary. Like, always test. If you're going to take something out, always test it. Oh, we don't need this, and then I have done that.
So test. That's the key. For someone that's starting brand new in email design, what recommendations would you give them? Best practices, like where can they go to become the next Anne?
All right, let's see. I mean, there are places. It's just like I have a list, so maybe it would be better if you just email me. But I will put it out there that Jason Rodriguez, I think it's RodriguezJ.com or the betteremail.com, something like that. He has a really good program on like how to start with code. If you wanted a solid base, that's how you I would say definitely check that out. And after you learn all that, I would say join Twitter and the Email Geek Slack channel, because that's where we all kind of talk about code and swap code and that type of thing. So you can learn a lot from your peers.
That is true. I know I've learned a lot from my peers in the years I've been in email marketing. We have another really good question. Do you well, first off, thank you for answering that. And I do follow you, of course, and Jason, and he does provide some really awesome tips and tricks. Do you recommend using do you recommend using VML buttons? This users notice that in Outlook, all padding is removed on buttons.
Yeah, so that depends on what type of button that you're using. So the button that I had that was above the VML, that always has padding. When you don't provide a VML button, that always has the correct padding around it. Or you can do a VML button, and that will also has the padding necessary. I'd love to know what email client is causing them trouble, because it really all depends on which email client.
Okay, they said that Outlook.
Oh, just Outlook in general?
Yeah. Is where they're noticing this happening.
Yeah. You can also add a much bigger line height to add some extra padding if necessary. But you want to add that line height to the A tag, the anchor tag, the link.
Okay, perfect. Is it common best practice to resize animated GIFs for mobile?
You know what? I've never come across that. Like as in providing a different asset for a different image for mobile and desktop. I don't think that's necessary. But yeah, using the like resizing the existing animated GIF in the mobile view should be totally fine. You want to try and keep your animated GIFs to below 200 kilobytes if at all possible. And just like I said in the last webinar, you can use a compressor like compressor.io or tinypng to make that animated GIF smaller in weight, so that it would be easier for somebody to download it, whether they're on desktop or mobile.
Oh, that's some good advice. I hope, I think that answered the question for Sarah. But Sarah, if you're online and you wanted to send a follow-up email, please do. Or you could follow Anne on Twitter or shoot her an email, and I'm sure she'll be able to provide you some additional best practices for animated GIFs. And we are going to close out with feedback for you, Anne. Yes.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure we all would agree. This user said, Anne, can you please do an end-to-end email creation session?
I would love to. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be kind of boring to see me code. But
somebody else came back and said yes. We have another person that said yes. So Anne, you and I could discuss, but somebody else just came back. So yes, they would love for you to do an end-to-end email creation. They would sign up for the class, and somebody else came back. Yeah. Oh my God.
Wow, that's a lot. I'll have to.
Folks saying that they would love, and you and I have spoken about it. I'd love to welcome you back. And if you're open to it, let's discuss, you coming back, doing an end-to-end email creation. This was awesome. I learned a lot, and we're getting a lot of people coming.
Actually, let me ask the people here. Would you be cool? Would you want to learn about how to make a modular kind of email creation, like a kind of a modular system? Because I do that a lot.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there we go. We got our topic.
And I'm going to read something that somebody else just wrote, because I do want to thank you for doing this. There have been, this attendee said, just want to say thank you so much for this. There have been so many items discussed here that their team has been struggling with, and you answered everything. So you and I could definitely discuss holding another session. And when we do decide on the date and time, please follow me. Please follow Anne. Of course, her information is below. We will send a follow-up email tomorrow that will include this recording along with the deck. Please feel free to share this with your colleagues, your community, And most importantly, please stay in touch with both of us. And thank you so very much. And I am already looking forward to our next session.
Yeah, me too.
All
Glad
right.
it was useful to everybody.
Right. I hope everyone enjoyed part 2 of how to zhuzh up your email, which was Anne's title. I think you should definitely trademark that. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.